Hi everyone, Dan's the Mans with Too Many Plans here, back with another video, and today, oh my god, forewarning, this is very dangerous. Don't ever do this, don't ever try this at home, kids. Do not overanalyze a GoBots comic. It is a mistake that I hope no one else repeats. That's why I'm doing it. So yeah, right in front of me is the 5-issue miniseries of GoBots by Tom Scioli with, let's see, he did arts, story, and lettering. So he pretty much did the book outside of the editing, and the editing is courtesy of David Hedgecock. So yeah, I just want to give here's a quick little history segment. Alright, so back in the 1980s, 1982 exactly, the toy company Bandai released a line called the Machine Robo, which was a it was a subsidiary company. It was a short line of about 2 to 3 inch tall miniature transforming action figures, and it was mainly there wasn't any real competition for it at the time except for Takara's Diaclone. Sorry, I love that. That's a whole Diaclone's a whole other story, but that's just me. All right. And so then it's imported to other countries by the company Tonka, which was one of Hasbro's rivals at the time. Hasbro's the Transformers. Transformers plays into a lot of this. That's why it's published by IDW. And so GoBots started out strong. It actually started out about 6 months before the Transformers. Then the Transformers just became a bigger success. They beat out GoBots. And the GoBots line ended around 1987 with pretty much nothing coming out of it since, outside of a few offhanded DX GoBot figures for like big collector markets. And the biggest twist of the story was Hasbro ended up acquiring the rights, names, and trademarks for all the GoBots characters when they bought up Tonka after they failed in 1991. Although, why I haven't seen any GoBots since then is because, sure, Hasbro owns the trademark, licensing, and names, but Bandai owns all the action figure and toy designs, so these designs they're using because they're based off the cartoon. They can't actually make any toy designs because then if they do, then Takara and Hasbro are open game for the Bandai lawyers. Well, now that history segment's over, we can get into the book proper. So as I stated before, GoBots was written and drawn and lettered by Tom Scioli with editing by Dave Hedgecock. And so what I'm going to do is do a quick recap of each issue, and then I'm going to give you my overall final thoughts on the book. Alright, so issue 1 is personally my favorite issue of the book. The first issue tends to be most people's favorites when I talk to them on the TFW board. And one other quick funny tangent. I actually recorded a really bad opinion piece video before this where I recommended you guys go to the TFW forums and go read the discussion thread about GoBots. Don't do that. That thread is just about everyone complaining that it's not integrated into the new Transformers continuity. I made that argument in my scrapped video. Don't be dumb like I was, because I really hadn't fully sat down and read the book. Today, I read it like 3 times before making this video. So, anyway, issue 1. Issue 1 was kind of the setup book, so it establishes the main characters of Leader 1, Turbo, Psykill, and Scooter. Images for all those people will be popping up on screen somewhere. And those are pretty much the main GoBots you need to worry about for this book. And so it really isn't eventful otherwise, so it shows how GoBots are subservient to humans. If you don't know, GoBots are pretty much just like organic brains inside metal shells. So it's pretty much slavery, kind of. Not really, I don't know. Indentured servitude. We parse there. And so That's pretty much the whole issue. It's Psykill rallying other GoBots to the renegade cause, because there's renegades and there's guardians. And at the end of the book, Leader One gets demolished by Psykill. It's kind of embarrassing, and that pretty much benches him for about 6 pages. Yep. So there's also different covers. This was the recover of it because I actually missed the initial issue 1, and this is based on the GoBots cartoon, with, in my opinion, inferior designs to the book in here. Then most of them are in the consistent cover style of the actual book itself. So yeah, can imagine how I feel about that. Anyway, issue 2 is probably, it gets off to a really good start. It starts with I don't know any of the GoBots names. I don't know most of them. So the Drillbot, the one with the driller horn, I don't know his name. I'm sorry. Picture on screen. And his relationship with a human, and how the big industry just let them die because they were forced to go into an unstable mind, and because of this, he joined Psykill's cause. And yeah, the issue is mostly just Scooter and Turbo going around for a little while. They meet up with their partners, their human partners again. Turbo faces off against Psykill. Then Leader 1 comes back, faces off against Psykill. And then the issue ends with Psykill running off, and then Leader 1 is forced to make a very morally ambiguous choice to lead the GoBots, to finish leading the GoBots against the humans, or just remain subservient to them. Issue 3 is when this book goes off the rails of the crazy train, and it's hysterical. I've actually pretty much gained a newfound appreciation for the GoBots, probably due to this issue alone. Issue 1 was my favorite, but this is probably my second favorite issue. So, a story about subservient transforming robots becomes Planet of the Apes. And I never would have thought that. So, this guy on the cover, his name is Spacey. He's leading a cruise ship of humans on an exploration trip. These the humans, Planet of the Apes style, the original one, not the reboot one, and not the Marky Mark and the Funky Punch one, are in cryospace in space, and then they eventually wake up and land upon Gobatron, where they have to deal with Leader 1, who's kind of now a fascistic anti-human leader, which is kind of odd jump, but it gets explained later on in the book. And so the first part of the issue is them going around kind of facing the I think it's the monster GoBots, and then they run into Zawdun Scales, which was this weird, I don't know, for the longest time I called him GoBot Triptychon, so yeah, I find his name Zawdun Scales kind of funny, if you know what I mean. And yeah, so then we get another plot twist at the issue where they crash land on a planet, and it was Earth all along. Blah. I should play the Simpsons clip in here. And yes, and then at the end, a giant Rock Lord appears. And if you don't know what a Rock Lord is, God bless you. The Rock Lords was a GoBot spinoff where essentially it was people who transformed into rocks. Just take that in. Just take it in. Anyway, issue 4 has my favorite cover, which is Turbo, who is my favorite GoBot, and I will get into that not momentarily, but in my thoughts. But yeah, so this issue I probably have the longest notes for. I'm sorry if I'm leaning over here. So yeah, what we have here is Leader 1 meets the GoBots, and then they're the human spaceship people, I'm just calling them the space crew, are on Earth, and they run into Turbo and Scooter thousands of years later. So yes, it was a considerably large time skip. And so, yeah, after that, they discover the Rock Lords. They meet up with Turbo and a currently insane Scooter, because during a conversation, well, a reunion pretty much with Turbo and Leader 1, uh, one of the Turbo's pretty much human partner was a revolutionary against Leader 1, and, well, no, it was Scooter, my bad, Scooter. And Leader 1 forced Scooter to kill her, and that drove him insane, which the art in this, it's great. It makes it, the art sells that. It like draws him with just two circle eyes and his face all covered in burns, and it's great. You get the art in this book is something else. And yeah, then they fight the Zod on scales, and they also have the Guardian Puzzler come in. If you don't know, that was like a GoBots combiner. And the issue ends with Leader One's death. And it's interesting because throughout the book, Leader One was being followed by and getting talked to by a ghost-looking version of himself, and it was his ghost for some reason, which is honestly never explained. It's weird, but I mean, it's GoBots. Suck it up. So issue 5 is the last issue. It has a lot to wrap up, so without further ado, let's get into it. So Turbo rides on Spacey. That's the name of the, I still can't get over that name. They ride on Spacey to the the Renegade command ship right there that Psykill stole, and they also kidnap Scooter at the end of issue 4. That's why he's chasing after him. And so he gets on there. Turbo kills everyone. He kills Psykill, and he just kills them all. And then that pretty much I think that's my biggest problem with the issue, is that it kind of feels a rush pace. But anyway, get back to it. He goes up, he kills everyone, and then when they get the ship back, there was a sector which Spacey almost had to go through called the dematerizing station, I think it was, or I don't, or it was pretty much recycling for GoBots, where they recycle the GoBot's body. It's pretty dark. And it was actually never that. What it was a time machine, and so one of the humans stays behind to teach all the other humans, because remember, this is Planet of the Apes. You know, they have the whole bearded humans thing where you have all the humans that are primitive, that they became primitive because of the GoBots. And yeah, so that's a trip. And then Spacey and those humans go back in time and then kind of fix the future before it goes bad, and creates a Gobatron space station for human GoBot relationships, and they kind of work to fix all that out. And that's pretty much where all the book ends. So without further ado, into my final thoughts. So overall, I'm not gonna lie, I did not initially like this miniseries. Yeah, here's just the cover one more time. I did not initially like it. I thought it was poorly rushed. I thought it was poorly paced, rushed, and then just overall a big mess. When I've come to read it more and more, I find it still a bit of a big mess, with pacing issues more towards the end, but overall a good story if it's just if it's not stealing a little bit or most of the plot of Planet of the Apes. But I mean, hey, what you gonna do? It honestly works for what it is. It's a 5-issue GoBot miniseries, but I kind of would have liked something more outside of the Transformers on the not Transformers on the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep the same sentiment from my unshown video, where I'm disappointed in the book, but I still enjoyed it. But anyway, two other things I want to talk about is art style. The art style on this seems to be going for a 1980s comic book style. I mean, hence the faded pages if you actually pick up the issues of the book. And the art style itself of the bots, it's pretty original, while taking both from the chocolate milk GoBots advertisement and 1984 Transformers comic. I think it's like a combination of both of those that overall make this book's kind of whole art style, which really works for the book. It works to its advantage, and it never really gets away from that art style, which I very like. That's the habit IDW has with these kind of books, is that like their art style will randomly switch. The previous Transformers continuity really suffered from that, in my opinion. And yeah, and then the other issue, my probably my biggest problem with the book is issue 5 right here, mainly because it has the unfortunate job of being the ending, and this book could have used about. I don't understand why it wasn't a 5-issue miniseries. It should have been a probably like a 7. I was gonna say 12, which is the traditional DC Comics miniseries, but 12's too long and 5's too short, so I'm gonna go with 7. I think it should have been a 7-issue miniseries, and that would have really worked it out, because then you could have fully resolved. Well, the Planet of the Apes plot was fully resolved, but I mean, you could have went a little more in depth into it, kind of maybe set up an ongoing even, and then not completely rush, because Leader 1 doesn't get any resolution, Psykill just gets killed off by Turbo, and yeah, overall last issue feels really rushed. And lastly, my final thoughts, Turbo is best girl. Turbo is my favorite character in this book, easily. He's the most level-headed, he's the most easy to like, kind of. He has the best human partner out of the 3, which is this stunt car driver, who I know is named after a GoBot cartoon character, but I don't have the time or energy to look it up. But yeah, overall, this book was an experience. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to give it a... Let's see, that's too harsh. I'm going to give it a War for Cybertron Hound out of 10. I'll let you decide what that is to you. Anyway, Dan's the man here, signing out. Cha.